This meeting is held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act 10:4-6 at C. Annual notice having been forwarded to the New Jersey Herald and the New Jersey Sunday Herald and posted on the bulletin board maintained in the municipal building for public announcement. Will you please rise and join me in saluting the flag? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Chirilla.
Yes.
Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Mr. Kadmic.
Yes.
Ms. Crock.
Here.
Councilman Kucevich.
Present.
Mr. Mazelewski.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien. Ms. Snow.
Here.
Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Mr. Wagner.
Here.
Mayor Galati.
Here.
Chairman Ray.
Perfect. All right, first thing is minutes. The motion is in order to approve the minutes of the January 14th, 2025 meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion. The minutes say the 15th.
It's the 14th, wasn't it?
Yes, it was the
Oh,
14th.
did I put the 15th on top?
The minutes say the 15th.
Okay, I'll change it.
No, that's right.
Okay, it would have been the 14th, but they just say the 15th.
Okay, I'll change. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion.
Yeah,
And a
Mr.
second.
Chirilla.
Yes.
Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Mr. Kadmic.
Yes.
Ms. Crock.
Yes.
Councilman Kucevich.
Yes.
Ms. Snow.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Mayor Galati.
Yes,
Chairman Ray.
Yes. Okay, next item is resolution. We have one resolution. Carlos Duran. The hearing date was January 14th, 2025. Do I have a motion? I'll make the motion.
Mr. Chirilla.
Yes.
Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Mr. Kadmic.
Yes.
Ms. Crock.
Yes.
Councilman Kucevich.
Yes.
Ms. Snow.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Mayor Galati.
yes.
Chairman Ray.
Yes. Okay, next item is correspondence. We received a letter from Mont McDonald, the borough engineer. This letter is just informational. When all the PFAS tanks that they're putting in all the wells, those, you see the big trailers that are up, but that's basically what this is. They're just telling they're temporary while they're testing the things and then they go away. So just for your information. Right, Eric? Am I correct in that? Okay.
Yes, we're required to backwash the tank.
Once a year, right?
We believe it's once a year, but because we've only just retrofitted all of the municipal wells with the carbon filtration systems, we don't know when we're going to have to do it. So it's possible it might be once a year, it might not be. Did I cover that?
Okay, next item is escrow refunds. We have none. Next item is bills. So the motion to pay the bills, Mont McDonald, Dolan and Dolan, Van Fleet, the New Jersey Herald, and Dan Law.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chirilla.
Yes.
Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Mr. Kadmic.
Yes.
Ms. Crock.
Yes.
Councilman Kucevich.
Yes.
Ms. Snow.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Mayor Galati.
Yes,
Chairman Ray.
Yes. Zoning officers report, anything, Bill? Nothing. Nothing? Perfect. Discussion, any discussion? Old business, do we have any old business to discuss?
we need to swear in Bill Wagner.
Bill
We
did
did
it.
this
You
one.
did it already?
Yes.
And the only thing, I don't know if it would be old or new business, but I do realize that we have a lot of new members. I was just wondering if, as the chairperson, you might want to go
Yeah.
over either at the beginning or the end of the meeting, what members can do when they're visiting
Okay.
sites, or whether Mr. Haggerty wanted to do it. There are a lot of new faces, just so that there's no confusion.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, when someone fills out an application and wants to come before the board, they give permission to the borough professionals, engineers, and all the board members to visit the property and take a look at, because right now you just get a piece of paper. So you can take that, go there and you can physically see the property, see what they want to do, so we're allowed to do that as part of a board member, so.
Just don't want to have a big
More
group
than-
because you want to
yes.
have a quorum. If you have a quorum,
Yeah.
it becomes a public meeting.
Yeah.
But then that's a.
I mean, two of you can go together, that's it,
Yeah,
more than that.
We also have to have ID, correct?
We're working on the ID. We're not sure about that just yet.
We used to have one, so.
I
and it
still
just
have
kinda-
mine.
I got mine
Is it still
too.
good?
No,
It's
I
still
don't-
good, Judy. You can use it. The rest of us.
It's a
were
better
looking into how
picture
to
on
make
that
a
one
new
than
one.
I
Bob.
have here,
Yeah,
so
this
I
is
like
just
it.
I mean, I can bring my
Like
own
ID
one in.
cards?
I have it.
Yeah, I
It's
can
just-
look at.
We don't know if we still have a machine or whatnot. It seems like it is a
think-
practice
Bob,
that's common. and
I
it's
learned
just
from
sent out
my
first.
work, the protocol is you knock on the door first,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
we
then-
always do
Yeah.
that.
announce yourself
Yeah.
before you do anything else.
That
We
would, that
don't
would
engage
be,
in conversation.
no, you just, I mean, you go there and you say, listen, I'm from the land use board, I'd like to take a look at what you're doing here, and that's it, you know?
Don't engage with.
No.
property
What's for dinner, by the way? No.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, new business? No new business to discuss. Continued applications. The first continued application is 303 Lakeside Boulevard LLC. 303 Lakeside Boulevard, block 30501, lot 2.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Bankendorf from the law firm Baskin Hooker, representing the applicant. Let's see here, 303 Lakeside LLC, Mike Paxos. If we could maybe swear in, I don't think we need to swear in the applicant, because I think he was sworn last time, that remains in effect. But if we could swear in and qualify our experts, that would be excellent.
Please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And you first.
Donna Bullock,
Spell your last name.
Bullock,
You are here in what capacity?
professional engineer.
All right. And have you testified before this board in the past?
No, I have not.
Could you give us just a little brief
Sure.
background?
I'm a project manager at Morgan Engineering in Island Heights, Ocean County. I have been, I'm a graduate of NJIT. I've been giving testimonies in front of many boards, mostly Oceans, Monmouth, and Middlesex County for 25 years now. My license is current, and that's about it.
We'll accept your,
Okay.
Thank you.
Kenneth Fox, Fox Architectural Design, Ledgewood, New Jersey. I have testified before this board many times and other boards in the area, and my license is current.
You're also a planner, am I right?
And I'm here as the architect and planner, and both licenses are current.
We don't expect him to use planning testimony, but just in case, we'd like to qualify him as an expert. So we're here this evening to discuss 303 Lakeside Boulevard, block 30-501, lot 2. It's a 14,400 square foot lot in the R1 zone. It's got a 1-bedroom bungalow home that sits kind of in the center of the lot. And in addition to that, there's a 2-bedroom boathouse that sits over Lake Hopatcong. Both of these structures are hooked up to grinder pumps, which are also hooked into the sanitary sewer system. Both structures have bathrooms. The boathouse itself does not have potable water. It does pull water from Lake Hopatcong, but the home itself does have water. The applicant was last before the board on January 14th. Mr. Haggerty recognized that an LLC actually owns the home. And additionally, there were 2 single-family residential uses on the site. And one of those single-family residential uses on the site, we were seeking to expand that use. Of the home itself, we were looking to increase from 1 bedroom to 3 bedroom. And as a result of that, Mr. Haggerty recognized that notice needed to change. And in addition to notice needing to change, because it was owned by an LLC, they needed representation by counsel. I was contacted. It was at that point in time that I recognized the complexity of the issues surrounding this property. So I'm not going to belabor that. Although there were a multitude of avenues that I could have taken with this application, we're going to proceed on one this evening with the board's approval. So I have provided documentary evidence that the boathouse itself has existed since at least 1956. I have a picture of that. In addition to that, I have a documentary evidence that Mr. Donegan has provided me with related to taxes that show that in fact the property was assessed with the boathouse and with the home. They existed back in the sixties. In addition to that, I contacted Marty Kane. He is a member, maybe even the head of the Historic Society in Hopatcong. He actually lived a couple houses down, although he couldn't be here this evening. He did authorize me to say that he does remember the boathouse being there since at least the fifties. And so with all of that evidence, I believe we've established proof that the boathouse has existed since prior to institution of the ordinances prohibiting the boathouse.
Well, if you're gonna submit the evidence, let's.
Yeah, so I,
present it.
yep, sure. So I submitted the actual visual images to both professionals and Amy. Amy, did you receive that?
No.
No? Okay, they were by email communication. Bill, did you receive that?
Received an aerial, actually just pulling it up right now, that's what I received, but I don't think it's gonna be an issue with the boathouse, if the question's going to be the use of the boathouse.
Okay, yep, and that's the next thing I'm gonna get to. I just wanted to make it known that the boathouse did exist since at least 1956, which I have an aerial of, and I did provide to the experts. Amy, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I will make sure that you get copies of those, okay?
And
So that establishes the boathouse existence. The problem with the boathouse existence is that it was being used as a residential structure. And in this zone, there can only be one principal residential structure per lot. And so as a result of that, there was a lot of issues that my client was then facing as a result of that. Although I believe we have sufficient evidence to prove that the boathouse has had continuous use as a residential structure over Lake Hopatcong since at least the fifties, we're not going to be proceeding with that this evening. As a matter of fact, my client has agreed to cease the use of the boathouse as a residential use. Now, I'm not agreeing to a deed restriction because if my client finds that it makes sense to have a residential use above the boathouse, he can come back to the board at a different time. He is well aware that the standards for a deed variance are much more strict than if I were to seek the approval by way of section 68. But that's not what I'm doing here. I talked to my client. He wants a house that his family can live in. He doesn't mind if the boathouse is non-residential. And so what he's going to produce for the board and for the experts is architecturals of the boathouse. The boathouse is going to include a room. It's not going to be a bedroom. It's going to be a room without a closet. It is going to include the bathroom that already exists. We think it is to the benefit of the community to have a bathroom in the boathouse. So if somebody has to go, they're not jumping in the lake or peeing on the grass or anything like that. And additionally, something that you would similarly find next to a pool or a lake in a cupola or something of the sort, a grill or a stove and maybe a refrigerator. That will also be in the boathouse in addition to the boat being stored there. Those are the things that will be there, but it will not be for residential use. So that kind of covers the boathouse. So the purpose of this application this evening is that we're coming before the board to seek variance relief for both variances because my client intends to develop that property into a 3-bedroom home with a garage, a 2-car garage. And it's important to note that currently there's almost no off-street parking for this property. I don't know if you've driven by the site, but there is a very small section or strip of land that you might be able to park on, but you'd have to cross the road. It could be dangerous at night. It makes sense to try to build something for off-street parking. The variances that we're seeking this evening, I'm going to go through a list of them. Now, they may be different variances than what you're seeing on the plans, because I will be honest, after I got the application, I immediately recognized the need to reduce impervious coverage. And I also thought that there were some other things that maybe we could adjust, and I will leave my expert to that testimony.
There's no point.
So the variances are as follows. There's a front yard setback, 26 feet is requested where 46 feet is required. There's a side yard setback, 7 feet is requested where 10 feet is required. There's a lot footprint, 21.1 feet is proposed where 20 feet or less is required, required. There's impervious coverage. This is one of the things that you're gonna find I was actually able to get reduced after looking at the plans and speaking with my client, and the expert can provide that testimony. 42% where 35% is required. In addition to reducing the impervious coverage, you're gonna have an opportunity to speak with the engineer about potentially mitigating the circumstances related to the impervious coverage. So maybe through a dry well or a rain garden or some additional landscaping to help the water diffuse into the ground before it gets to the lake. We also have a retaining wall setback of 1.5 feet, which is proposed where 5 feet is required. There's also a steep slope. I'm not entirely sure how this relates, so I'm gonna let the expert provide that testimony. Then there are these 4 pre-existing non-conforming variances that already exist on the property. 2 of them specifically relate to the boathouse, which I do believe has existed since at least the 50s. So the first one is lot size, 14,400 feet, where 15,000 is required. Again, a pre-existing non-conforming variance. The lot width, you'll notice the lot, the way the lot is designed, it almost comes down triangularly to the lake. So it is of an odd shape. There are significant topographical conditions that impact the applicant's ability, and we'll get to that again later in the testimony. There's a rear yard setback, 0 feet is proposed because of the boathouse. It's already developed, where 6 feet is required, and then there's the distance from the lake, 50 feet is required, but again, there's already a boathouse, so it's 0 feet. So here to provide testimony related to these variances regarding the engineering of the lot. Donna, if you please begin your testimony and maybe go through the plan, and is that the plan that was presented to the board, or is it a new one?
Mr. Benkendorf, let me slow down a little bit here.
Sure.
You sent around a photographic 1956 photograph aerial showing the boathouse. I'm going to mark that as A1 and ask if that
Sure.
we'll have to have a print of its electronic map for it.
Absolutely.
And from what I understand, what you're saying is residential use of the
Whatever you
boathouse
want.
will be discontinued, and it's going to be up to the board to determine what discontinuation of that residential use would involve in terms of improvements. It's placed on the record what your client wants, but the board is going to proceed premised upon there not being 2 residential uses of the property, a single residential use with a house that's 1 bedroom in the center. So we'll proceed that way, but the board was going to have to determine whether the testimony supports and the intent of the applicant support there being only 1 residential use, and that will be dictated by the proposed use of the boathouse.
Mr. Paxos, you heard my recantation of your testimony this evening, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, is that an accurate representation of what you intend to do with the property?
Yes.
And do you intend to cease the use of the boathouse as a residential property, not by way of deed restriction, but that you will no longer be using it as a residence?
Correct.
And in the event you ever seek to use that as a residence, you would have to come back before this board and seek a D variance.
Yes.
And that the standards for a D variance are far greater than a C variance. You understand that, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Paxos, you're related to the applicant how? This is an entity. Are you the managing member? Yes. Okay. And you're reminded that you're still under oath. The testimony you just gave is true. Yes, sir. Yes.
Mr. Hager, I have these two images. I can date them and sign them. I'm the one that printed them off, if you'd like me to.
Okay, and is there some, how did you determine the date?
So the dates were determined by the application that I was using. I don't have the name of it, but I can provide.
But you did
And the date
verify
is
the
listed on
date.
here.
Okay,
Yes, I
okay.
did verify. the
So-
date.
So these are aerials, so we'll just mark those as A1 and A2.
Yes. That at least gives the board some.
What was the date on those?
I know, kidding.
So I have written 1979. For some reason, every time I printed it off, the 1979 that showed in a line up here was not printing off, so I apologize for that.
I'll mark that as a.
That's gonna be A2.
If you know that, I'm sorry, I just-
Yep, and then the other aerial is from 1956.
If you knew
Uh,
already,
and
it's fine,
I
didn't know.
Showed the lot and I showed the boathouse. And I highlighted that myself. That's my
Any
highlight.
questions around that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I make copies?
Thank you.
This is strictly to show that the boathouse was there, not the use of the boathouse.
Not the use. We're not, nope.
Is that from historical photographs?
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Oh, yeah.
You can barely make out the actual house, but you can certainly see the boathouse.
Was there a variance on it for more than one accessory structure? Could you?
In my review.
And I didn't list that in my variances if it is required. There was an additional.
Emily's looking for the garage, right?
Well, conventionally, if the boathouse is out of the water, I don't count it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the way I've historically done that, I mean, if it's out over the water, it's not on the lot, so that's the way I kind of look at it that way.
Are you feel with that, Bill?
And we're allowed two, so, but let me see.
I just wanna make sure you don't miss it, you know, and.
Absolutely.
You know.
No.
I was bringing that along in case somebody needs a refresher. Just make it easy.
Shall we begin?
Yeah, we can go.
Now that you've all
Yep.
taken in the aerial photos and. Okay, so this is known as block 3051, lot 2 in the borough of Hopatcon. It contains 0.33 acres or 1,444 square feet in the R1, sorry, 14,400 square feet in the R1 residential zone. The property fronts on Lakeside Boulevard, a paved roadway right away, and the rear of the property abuts onto Lake Hopatcon. The site contains right now a one-story. You can see it on your plans. You probably can't see off of here, but if you look at the existing site conditions plan, and I'm referring to a plan entitled should I say variance plan?
It should, but it doesn't.
A variance plan for dwelling.
Yeah.
And that was submitted with the application.
That was submitted with the application.
It does say plot plan.
It does say plot? Okay, thank you. I was
The one
making
that was
sure.
submitted to the, yeah, generally we would label them as variance plan, but plot plan's fine.
Right, and it's dated 7/1/24. Latest revision is 9/19/24, and that should be in your packet. So I'm referring to that plan when I describe items on, when I'm referring to the board. So there's an existing one-story residential home with wood stoop, a shed, wooden boat ramps, decks, boathouse, and docks. On the west of the property are retaining walls, stairs, and landings. Access to the dwelling to the lake is by a concrete walk and landings to get to the lake. Currently, on the in the front of the property, there is no parking. Right in front of the property is a paved roadway, which is currently in use, obviously, and the applicant does park currently on the west side of Lakeside Boulevard. Access to the property is by way of 45 linear foot of stairs to a landing further down into the front access to the dwelling. The property slopes from west to east. So it slopes from the roadway toward the lake, and the widest portion of the property is located along the roadway where it narrows down to 34 feet at the water. So we have like a pie-shaped configuration. There are steep slopes on the site. We have provided a steep slope analysis in the existing condition with the various colors representing the existing slopes. There is sewer service available for connection for the current house as well as the new, and there's an on-site well. So that basically describes what's there right now. What we're proposing is to remove the existing dwelling, construct a two-story residential dwelling within the required setbacks of the R1 zone. Proposed is a covered deck at the rear of the dwelling and steps down from the upper level deck down to grade, and then they have walking access to lake. We're going to construct within the front portion of the property, we're going to construct a 22 by 30, a 660 square foot two-car garage. With that, we're going to have grid paver, solid surface course for now parking, which the client does not have access to. He's going to have availability now to have a two-car garage, and the 3 additional cars could be provided within that area. For residential site improvement standards, the requirement for the 3-bedroom house is 2 spaces. So we have 5 provided, so we meet that criteria. So providing the driveway where we show it, right along the front of the property is a existing guide rail. So that restricts any entranceway into the property except for a opening, a 16-foot opening that we're now going to have the pavers on for parking. The configuration that we show is that the overhead doors for the garage face in a southerly direction, so that when a car can pull in, they can either pull right into the garage or park in front of a door, and they have the ability to do a K-turn and pull out onto the roadway without having to back onto traffic or, like on the other side of the road, pull out in front of traffic. So it'll be a controlled access point for safety. And we also have a retaining wall that we need to level off this area. So we have a retaining wall that's 1.8 feet off the property line, which we're providing where that will be a level surface then, and there's steps from the back. You'll hear more from the architect about accessibility from the garage, down a series of steps and into the main access into the building. There's no trees to be removed as part of this construction. We will provide retaining wall stability calculations and details as required. We have not provided landscaping at this time. We'll provide landscaping based on some discussions of how we're gonna treat some stormwater management on the property. And then once we have those sorted out, we'll know where we can provide landscaping for soil stability and, beautify some of the side yards if we can, for buffers from the adjacent property owners. Also, the adjacent properties are owned by single-family residential homeowners, and they are developed. So for stormwater management, our intent is to store on site the increase of the impervious surface into some type of dry well. What we do have some concerns with, because this is on a very steep slope, and things like a rain garden, we tried to do some grading to get that to work. That doesn't seem to be feasible on something that has general slopes like the neighboring properties within this area. We think that we could do some precast dry wells that could be tied into the clean runoff off of the dwelling. But we also have some soil restraints with that. We have some underlying bedrock at certain depths. So as far as the stormwater goes, we'll do whatever it takes, whatever the board requests that we can do that's feasible with the soil conditions and the slopes on the property. And we'll work with the engineer to provide whatever is needed. And for the NJDEP flood hazard rules, this is not a category C1 stream, and therefore a 50-foot buffer is associated with this lake, and that we will have no disturbance for this application within 50 foot of the water line of the Lake Hopatcong. So to summarize the variances, as mentioned, we have an existing lot size variance where 15,000 square feet is required. We are providing 14,400 square feet. The lot width is 120 feet is required. We have an existing 68.4. The rear setback, or we don't have to talk about the boathouse setbacks. Did we say that they are not going to be a part of the variance
I
list?
think we should still discuss them, just for the purposes of the application.
Okay. So then again, we have the rear setback to the boathouse. It's not on the property, 6 feet's required, therefore we have 0. And the 50-foot required setback from the lake to any structure, we have nothing upland, so it's within the water body, so therefore that's a variance for 0. The proposed condition, we have a front yard setback required from the property's most westerly property line to the structure, and that can't be helped if we're going to put a garage here for safe storage of buildings and have a plateau for the parking area. So we have a front yard request for the garage where 40 feet is required, 26 feet is proposed. And the side yard to the garage, 10 foot is required. We have 7 foot proposed. And that's because we have to have enough area for this area to be, have the grid pavers within them so that a car can access, can come into the parking lot and K-turn out. And that's why if we made the 7 feet here to a 10, it'll get too tight for how we feel, too close for comfort. And the retaining wall.
Not just comfort, but safety.
Safety,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. And the side wall, the retaining wall is 1.8 feet off the property line, where 5 feet is required. Again, we worked with the proper turning radiuses that we felt was adequate for safety for laying out this front portion of the property. And we have a critical slope disturbance where you're not allowed to disturb more than 15% of critical slopes without getting into the long conversation regarding that. We're allowed 2,500 square foot of the areas in blue, pink, and purple. So blue, pink, and purple. So the areas that exceed the 15% that we're disturbing, we're only permitted to disturb 2,500 of that. well, that's a pretty small area. With what we're proposing and with, retaining walls around the back and retaining walls around the front and to get the slope to flatten out, we right now are over by 4,831. But we can reduce that as we move forward with the final design. We can take areas back here because we show a limited disturbance here. What we can do is we can see what areas here really isn't going to be disturbed. We only included that when we were laying out the rain garden and things like that. But it turns out, based on where we actually put the stormwater management systems, we can then take this area, which is about 1,500 square feet, away from that 5,400 square foot overage and reduce that variance requirement. So that's, and about the maximum, the last variance that we need to talk about. Well, we have, all right, the first one, maximum building coverage. We are proposing dwelling and the garage on an undersized lot. So these being normal size components of the property, because of the lot size and lot configuration, what's required is 20% footprint, but with what we propose, we're at 21.1. So that's not much if you really look at how the site has to be laid out to make it for functionality. The last one is the maximum lot coverage. So we can see that we have the building coverage for the garage and the dwelling, which also includes the covered deck in the back. But the remaining areas for maximum lot coverage are some walkways off to the side for access to get down, steps to the rear of the property, or a covered porch. And so you could step out and actually step up to the garage, or use the steps to come up to the, use these steps to come up so to have access to the driveway, which is elevated. So that total area that we have is 42.1%. But if you look at this, if you look at the steep slope analysis in this orange portion, sorry, I think I'm colorblind.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Plus, when you
Yellow.
put red on it, I can't see. So the yellow portion in the front, that is actually, this is actually the roadway. That's not technically, he does not own that, but it's included in the lot. So if we excluded this is 10.5% of the percent lot coverage, if we take that away from the actual percent lot coverage on the buildable portion of the property, that's down to 31.6%, which is less than the required 35%. So,
But it had to be included in the calculation of impervious coverage for purposes of this application.
yes, the survey, the property is
And so a
delineated
large
as such.
portion of the impervious coverage actually happens to be the public roadway.
Yeah, the 10.5%
But we
of,
needed to, right,
yes.
Okay.
And I hope I covered everything as briefly as I could. So if anyone has any questions on me, I'd be glad to answer anything.
How tall is that wall on the parking area that goes down to the, drops down to the house? I can't really.
That's really small,
Me neither,
Yeah.
hold on.
way too small.
It is 12.5 feet high at the most extreme southerly portion of the driveway and retaining wall on the northerly property line.
And those are, what are you proposing to build that, construct that out of?
We have structural engineers in our office, and we usually leave it up to them to decide what would be the best in working with the client on what would be, but that would probably be like an Allen block scenario, using the back grid as structural stability.
I mean,
And
the only reason is I'm saying is it's awful close to the structure, you got a 12-foot high wall. And the house is only, how far is the house from the garage?
I left my ruler home.
Yeah, it's here. It says 13 feet on the map.
Okay.
So we have 13 feet from the most northerly corner of the building to approximately the center of the garage, because it's not perpendicular. It's not parallel with the building. It's on a skew so that the garage is in line with the roadway, edge of the road.
So the garage foundation is gonna be built all the way up? from
Yes.
Existing grade,
Yes,
poured concrete or something?
right. It'll be foundation wall. We'll put on top of that, if we incorporate that as part of the foundation itself.
So you
But
more or
we'll
less have two walls there. You'll have the foundation wall gonna go after, then however far away that wall is from the garage, you'll have another wall coming, another.
That is correct.
structural wall.
Yes, we will.
And you'll have a fence above the wall, I think.
Yes,
I
well,
have a
we'll
question.
have fences above the wall. We'll make sure that it meets all the regulations that are required. Our structural engineering department does this all the time,
Okay.
and they make sure that when we have calculations and details to submit, they will be signed and sealed and in accordance with every regulation code that is
Okay.
required.
Right, and
I have a question.
Sure.
What is from the driveway, what's the sight distance going north on Lakeside Boulevard? It seems to be going right into a blind curve.
I don't think it's that bad, Andy, yeah. I mean, listen,
Okay.
anything is gonna be better. They have nothing
Than
now, so,
nothing.
so if you have enough room to get off the street, turn around and pull out, I mean, that's a no-brainer, you know, I mean, right now they have nothing. They have no parking at all.
There was a garage there.
Ashton's-
Was that not-
It fell down the hill
Yes.
about
Was that
15
yours?
years
Oh,
ago.
yeah?
I didn't, not on my dime.
No,
Another
this
one.
was about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It tumbled right down.
Yeah,
the
another
hill.
one just fell last year, the
Yeah.
year before, right?
Two
Now a
houses
tree took
down.
it down or something? Okay. So,
I did do a quick analysis of the site triangle when we were looking at this, and if we hold the 14.4 foot back for this line of sight for a vehicle exiting the drive, and we follow this onto oncoming traffic, we do show that and I can confirm this through actual providing it, but it does not block or intended not to have the garage block that view. That's another reason why we had to separate the wall as far over as we could and the garage as far over to this side as we could.
you stated in your testimony that the garage is gonna be 22 by 30. On the plans, it says 20 by 28.
I have 22 by 30 on the plan that was submitted.
I mean, what's that saying?
Oh, are you looking at the architectural plan?
Yes, I mean, the storage, you know, it says 20 by 28, 660 square feet.
660 is correct.
Okay.
So that storage, the little numbers underneath it, 20 by 28, that's
Boy,
the
I'm
inside
glad you could read
dimension.
those
Okay,
numbers.
inside dimensions, okay.
Donna, welcome to Sussex County, by the way. But
Thank
under
you.
Maximum lot coverage.
Yes,
It says 50 proposed, right?
well, yes,
So, but you referenced 42%.
yes, I did.
And you plus one. How'd you come up with that number? Because everything says 50 proposed.
Excellent question, because I did fail to mention that. Through discussions with trying to do whatever we can to mitigate as many variances as possible to get this down, what we did was we had proposed on the plan an asphalt drive. So we know that having a grid paver type of material in the driveway, it doesn't count toward impervious coverage. So taking this area out, I don't know, 660 square feet or something, and then recalculating the percent lot coverage, that's where I get the difference between the 50 point something that was shown originally. The 50.5 shown originally. Now we've reduced it to the 42.1%. And that's, I'm sorry, I didn't clear that up, that's how that got reduced. I apologize.
Yeah, and as a practicing attorney in Sussex County, I know how important it is around lake communities to reduce the impervious coverage, because pervious coverage or impervious coverage ultimately results in phosphates getting into the lake, increasing harmful algae blooms, And so as a direct result of that, I said, listen, we have to reduce the impervious coverage. So that's why we went with the grid paver system.
Right, but just as important, this should have been updated then.
No, it only came to me on the 14th, so. The testimony this evening, though, will be carried over to the resolution if the board looks kindly upon our application, and that resolution will comply with the as-built plans, which will be submitted to the board after.
So your pavers are impervious also, correct?
The pavers within the driveway, they are pervious. They're pervious because of the grid system that's required by your ordinance.
Maybe you could do some stormwater mitigation in that parking area, take the roof area of the garage and put some dry wells up in that parking area.
Yeah,
mean, that-
we've considered that. We can then do something like that, or maybe do porous pavers that have the required underlining storage stone beneath them for the exfiltration into the
Yeah,
grade
just to
below.
take all the rainwater off of that storage building, the garage, take all that and put it in it.
That,
Have you considered rain barrels instead of a rain garden?
I would love to put rain barrels every time I try to do it. Not, maybe down by me, they don't do it, but it hasn't been looked favorably where in Monmouth Oceans and Middlesex counties where I've had most of my career.
I think if your customer got in touch with the Rutgers and have them come out, they're actually pushing that a little bit, and they may come out and look at it, and they're actually offering grants towards it too.
What's that?
Rutgers actually offers grants towards it. too.
Oh, grants, okay. Yeah, I would love to do a rain barrel. Maybe 4 of them.
Listen, maybe if you could get some stormwater up in the parking lot and then some more down in the, to kind of knock the runoff down as much as you can.
Yes.
If you get in touch with, who has it, Danielle?
Danielle,
Danielle will
I
have
can-
the gentleman's information.
I can get it to you too.
Thank you.
Yes,
From Rutgers.
I can
I
get it.
appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm open to any suggestions. It's a very hard site to do the standard stuff, like, an underground trench linear won't work because you only have this much cover until you get to a point where it's too low to maintain, have a clean out to it. The actual dry wells underground, getting that bedrock in the way, even though we have a 8 and 10 foot separation, it still might not be suitable for have the dry wells infiltrate into that type of substandard material. So I was hoping to get suggestions from the board from what you experience in this area. That is greatly appreciated.
All right, we got some questions from other.
Rich, I was, I'm sorry, I was concerned about runoff from the street. In a
The other
heavy,
members.
once in a 50-year or whatever rainstorm, if you got an awful lot of water running off, is the road pitched toward where this driveway is going to be? And if
Well,
it is,
all that road there is crowned to whatever,
Right.
wants to go.
is
So,
there any way of controlling the amount of water going down one side of the house and eventually reaching the lake?
well, maybe you could do something up in that parking area with a drown, maybe put a grate in the driveway, if, to catch that. If there's any
Certainly.
excess runoff, whatever,
Certainly,
whatever
we
we
could
can
have a
do to.
grate tied into a trench up there,
Yeah,
to
something
pick
that-
off. But like you said, it does have a crown in the road and half of the road would come in, but the area of surface water that would come in is really like half of the road that's in front because the property's narrower and the garage will be in the way of that runoff sheet flowing into our driveway.
Just a continuation on that thought, separate from the road runoff, just the amount of water going into this elevated area for the garage.
Yes,
Do you, I mean, I'm shocked that there's rock in a pack on. That's a joke.
of course.
But, if the water, particularly coming from the driveway, is sitting behind the wall and you have this underlying rock structure, are you worried about the wall possibly having too much water to hold, or perhaps it following a path to the foundation of the house, which wouldn't be necessarily controlled by the runoff coming from the roof or the sides?
You're right.
You know what I mean?
You're right, yes. So there will be the face of the wall there that will collect the runoff and it can go down the back. But in every wall design, we do have under drains that because of the height of the wall, aren't just gonna be on the base of the footing and daylight behind. They're going to be intermittent series of weir controls that will release that runoff on the outside of each wall.
To the basins or to the collection areas?
Well, the wall that's facing the house, those weir walls will be on the inside face, where the driveway is up top. Those weir patches will be along that face of the wall, within that portion. You know, you're looking at the house and you're looking up at the wall, there'll be weir release spots for that.
Where would the eventual outlet be?
The eventual outlet will be just run down. And like I said, the footing drains will actually be daylighted out into the rear of the property. It would run from the porch to each side of the building and then toward the stream.
It's basically just gonna follow the rock ledge. I mean, the water's just gonna follow.
How it does now. Right now it's a steep slope. It all comes here. It just flows all the way down.
I mean, all you're trying to do is slow it down and so it's not all coming at one, you know. It goes into the dry wells and it kind of just seeps out the wall.
I live on a hill and I've typically found it's not the surface water that I have to worry about. You could have, 10 inches of rain that comes down in, 15 minutes, very unusual pattern. But it's not the water from the surface, it's the water that's coming up from underground.
Well, we do not have a water table there.
Okay.
We don't have a water table. In fact, finding bedrock and no water, that says it might be like a perch condition in a sense, that the water below can't break through because we have that bedrock, but what's above the bedrock is left over to
If you
take
get
the
that much
infiltration.
water, it's just gonna follow the rock, right?
Yeah.
It's all, that's just the way it goes,
Financial.
And just on a positive side, I like the fact that you had stairs inside the garage. I've seen a few where the only way of getting access from a garage to the property is outside stairs, so just thinking about snow, ice, etc. I thought it was
Certainly.
a nice safety feature that you had in the garage.
Thank
that
you.
Shouldn't be removed.
Well, no, but I can't take credit for that. The architect had all to do about that. So working all together and making it a safe, usable, feasible, undersized lot to get the allowable use of a single family residential home.
Any other questions?
I have a couple comments.
Good.
I would just want to double check the DEP regulations that the pavers are considered impervious coverage if they're not technically pervious.
Well, we don't have to comply with BEP requirements on this because it's a minor project. BMP, I think I said BMPs. BMPs aren't required to adhere to because it's a minor project. It's less than a quarter acre disturbance and less than a quarter acre of increase in impervious and less than an acre of disturbance. What we do comply to is what the ordinance says. And the ordinance has a section where it does say that, oh shoot, I don't think I printed out the definition. Under your definition for impervious, it says includes pavement, concrete, something else except for shells and gravel and grid type pavers and porous, pervious pavers. So that's why I read that and made sure that we were going about it the right way to allow this decrease per your ordinance. So it's an ordinance requirement we're adhering to.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
I just had a question. I know that we're not talking about the boathouse, but the boathouse currently has a kitchen in it?
Yes.
I'm gonna step, if anyone is done, if everyone's done with engineering right now, then I can take a seat and we can move on with those questions that I can't answer. How's that?
One more comment.
Oh, sure.
For, on the detail for the silt fence, you said that it was an optional,
A super fence.
Yeah, but
Yes.
just due to the steep slopes, we don't want to make that optional, we want to make that a requirement.
It's a standard SED, state SED detail. Everyone has that on there. I think, I'm not sure if this is the one, I think
It was, yeah, it was on another sheet.
Yeah, we relabeled it to say super silt fence, even though it says the optional, it's just everyone wants that nowadays. The regulations should just change that at SCD and just make that super and not even let you use the other one because it does cause a lot of misunderstanding. But we will make sure that that fence is provided for this construction.
And Bill, since this one's been marked up, I know it's not done being marked up yet, but maybe we can mark it as A3 and submit that.
Well, that's part of, actually, that was part of our package that we received.
But it's been marked with the site distances, so I didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, we can mark that A3, yeah,
Okay.
but you.
Just to throw it out there,
Sure,
just in case.
okay, mark A3 with a triangle. Mr. Chairman, you were correct on the number of accessory structures. There's a shed, and there's a deck, and of course, the detached garage.
So that would just be part of that, so you would also be asking, is it?
For the variance.
The deck is attached.
Yeah, John.
No, there's a deck down here. There's-
Oh. And I just have, did you received, the borough engineer's letter?
Yes,
correct?
I have, yes.
The number 2 is, based on the review, it appears that the reconstruction does not meet the requirements of NJDEP permit by rule. Did you check on that?
Yes, I
or-
did.
Okay.
I checked into it and I looked at the NJDEP regs. I met with the environmentalists we do a lot of work with. And the idea is that it's not a C1 stream. So if it's a C1 category 1 stream, it's an automatic 300-foot buffer. But because it's not a C1 stream, it's not trout producing. Those other types of streams having a 50-foot riparian buffer attached to them.
So it falls in the permit by rule. Is that what you're telling? It does?
It does, but we don't have to adhere to that because we're not in the buffer.
Okay.
May, you had a question.
Yes, I had a question about the boathouse, because I know that we're not discussing the boathouse per se of the application, but the boathouse has a kitchen in it, and you've referred to the fact that there's no closets in the house, it's just one big room.
That's what it's going to be, yes. Yes.
Is that shown on the architectural?
Well, we
plan?
don't have the architecturals yet, and that's why I suggest that we submit those to the professionals to review it in accordance with the testimony that I've provided this evening. I mean, if there is a concern at that time, then we'll come back before the board and we can discuss it again. But I didn't want to get hung up on it from not having the architecturals and not knowing exactly what it was going to look like inside. But yes, there is a stove and a refrigerator. And so that, we'd like to keep those things for entertaining purposes as far as the boathouse is concerned while loading the boat, I don't know. Maybe you warm up like bread or something, I don't know.
I think the board should have that information and
Yeah.
understand what's being proposed.
Sure.
so that there's no confusion.
Okay,
on
That's the
that.
second, residence.
okay.
Well, your testimony tonight is that it's not gonna be a rental unit, it's not gonna be,
Absolutely
it's
not.
just
No one's
basically
gonna
for
be
their
sleeping.
own personal use.
It's for their own
So,
personal
okay.
use, that's correct. Similar to like a man, I guess we call man cave maybe. Like kind of.
I don't think his wife wants it a man cave.
So sexist, so sexist.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, and it's really not that big, but
It's a
certainly we will provide architecturals once it's designed.
Okay,
It's a
you'll give us 2, what's there, what's existing, what you're proposing, right?
We can provide that if the board goes forward, we can provide that with on the resolution
Absolutely.
compliance, so that you have that exactly what's in there.
Yeah, there's gonna be a room, there's going to be the spot for the boat. There's going to be a small section where the kitchen's located and the bathroom. Those are the parts of it.
And it's a rec room, it's for entertaining, for games.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, so you said it was a full kitchen then, or is it just a refrigerator? and a
I honestly don't know what, my client,
Dishwasher,
Sink?
I'm sorry?
sink, deck,
So there's a sink, a stove, and a
the sink is
refrigerator.
hooked to the septic.
sewer.
The building is hooked up to the town sewer, so.
A sink without come lake water.
It's lake water, it's non-potable, it still pumps out of the lake.
Into a sink.
Into the sink, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what you use the water for.
So
It's
other
not
than
a-
flush
it's
the
not a-
toilet and
That's
you don't,
it.
you don't use it for anything drinking or anything?
It's not
Maybe
uncommon.
clean off-
No, that's very common.
Yeah, for fishing, I guess cleaning fish, yeah.
It's not uncommon for old boathouses to use that water supply.
There's people still drinking lake water, so,
Lake Lackawanna.
Well, again, the applicant's gonna comply with.
Yeah.
Mr. Hagerty, the fact that if we were to do this, we'd have a boat, if we were building a boathouse fresh from scratch and we put a bathroom upstairs in the game room, say, that would technically be a variance. Based on the fact that this boathouse is supposed to only be used, I believe, for just the storage of boats.
Primarily for the storage of boats.
So if we,
Primarily.
so in a sense, if we were to approve it tonight, we'd still be granting that variance for boathouse.
No, we want to be careful because that would be a use variance with a boathouse. You talked about a bathroom. Is it a toilet? Is it a shower? Is it a tub? What's with a bathroom? Toilet. Toilet and a sink. That's it, no shower. No.
Just jump in the lake.
Usually you go in the shower and wash
I'm
off the
just-
lake.
I like, oh.
I'm kidding.
I did it my whole childhood.
Barstool, Brightfield.
We're talking a toilet, an open room,
Back in the day.
with a, obviously a separate bathroom.
Remember the
An open
boathouse?
room and a separate bathroom. And in the open room, you're asking to have some type of a stove
Madhouse though.
John and I,
And
my brother.
sink
John
and a
lived in
refrigerator.
boathouse right by the river, by the aircraft.
Would it be heat?
So we have a lot of history with boathouse.
What kind of heat is that?
Electric.
Oh, isn't it?
Yes,
Big heater?
Justin's.
Right, yeah, first boathouse.
So this is all already existing, you're taking out the rental, so it's a pretty big
Taking out
concession.
the residential.
That, yes, that is, this is strictly
And
for.
you're not
that person.
proposing to use it overnight?
Hotel there.
No, no overnight.
Yeah, just, it was
Used to be a beautiful.
So that promotes zoning, doing what he's doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does promote the code.
Well, again, we always like to know that we're preserving history because your applicant doesn't always own the home, so we don't want the next person to go in thinking that, hey, there's two houses there and there really
Exactly,
isn't.
absolutely
Or
not.
that there's a place for someone to rent. We wanna
That's
make
why
sure-
it'll be,
In all
we'll have it
fairness,
all on the
in all
record
fairness
now.
to my
you know.
client, yeah, in all fairness to my client, if you can still go online and look at the listing, the CMA, and they listed it as a 3-bedroom. There's only 1 bedroom in the house. So they marketed it as 3 bedrooms, but they're in fact, those 2 bedrooms that exist in the boathouse were never approved. And although I do believe we could find some proofs, I think it was a little misrepresentation on the seller's part, no offense to them, but just that, I don't know that they took the proper avenues to market the home.
Well, today it's buyer beware, you better go check.
Yeah, I know,
check,
I
you
know.
20
I
years
wasn't
ago,
his
nobody
attorney
cared.
when it
Okay, you
happened,
said it's
trust me, I would have done that
3 bedrooms.
research. But we're here now and we are saying that we're going to cease the use as a residential property.
Okay,
No overnight.
that's on the record.
No overnight.
So, okay, I think we're ready for Mr. Fox.
Okay.
Hello, yes, so, I have Easy Park, we have a wonderful place for them to live. I'll go through it. So when Mike hired me to design a home for here, he had ideas of what he wanted. The first thing we talked about as we were up on the street is, I need a driveway. We have to get a driveway off the road, so we need that. And that was really what started to guide development of this. The key was, we needed to get parking off of the road. And we did a schematic of that, and then Donna has made that all happen. This is a fairly steep property, so when you go down like this, in order to create a flatter place to have that driveway, that was then requiring the retaining wall. And so then I'm gonna refer to my sheet Z2, which is as submitted. That best way to see the development of the site and how we designed the home is on the sheet Z2, the right side elevation, facing it on the right side. And you can see we have the street up here with the guardrail that's at the street. Donna designed the driveway so we can get cars off of the road. And then from that to our front door, which is down lower, we look at the front elevation here. You can see that it's one story in the front, but it is, as was brought up, fairly close to the wall of the driveway. The house is not that close. If the wall fell, it's not gonna hit the house other than the porch. So there is, a covered porch here, and so you have the upper driveway comes in, we have your stairs down to our front door. And so that wall's plenty, and of course, her office will design that safely. So we have the upper living, so on the first floor, which comes across this way. You see the grade slopes down. On that main level, we have our living space facing the lake, which is living, dining, kitchen, eating. And we have a master bedroom on that level. On the level below, on the level, that's on the upper level. On the lower level, we have two bedrooms and a laundry on the lower level. You can see that because of the slope, the upper portion of that lower level is a crawl space, is a storage. We didn't even, we were not digging into the bedrock to create that additional square footage. So this is a two-story home with the two of the bedrooms on the lower level, but it's not even, we build a two-story colonial 100% over the top 100%. You can see that we have the upper level and the lower level is smaller than that. So our entrance comes in the front, have our living area, and then covered, and then a porch facing the front. Our design, desire is to have a single pitch roof that starts low at the upper part, then goes high. So you have a single pitch back towards the street, so that we have a small elevation facing the street or facing the parking area, and this gives us a very tall glass wall facing the lake, which is just beautiful from inside. I think it's gonna be beautiful from outside to be able to get glass on the lower level and then very high glass lighting up the upper level. Up on the at the driveway. On the driveway above, we did lay out a two-car garage. We did put a stair on the inside, and first part of that was to be able to access the yard at that time. Because back at one point in here, we had entrances in different places than they exist now. So it was there, and we kept it. And then also there was storage space under the garage, because we're not going to fill it with dirt because it goes down the hill. So we put the full foundation, raise the foundation up to provide the parking for the cars, and then we'll be able to use the lower level for storage. I think that's
What is it, a metal roof you're putting on there, Ken? Is that what you're proposing?
anticipated metal roof. We haven't designed the specific material. If we do a metal roof or
It's not a very
no. It's a lower
pitch on there.
It's a
What is it,
lower
like a
pitch.
4 pitch or something on there?
Didn't actually label
I
it.
didn't
but
see it anywhere.
Yeah, it's not. It's about a 3. By look of it, it's about a 3.5 pitch.
Nice design, looks nice.
With Tesla solar panels,
Yeah,
be nice.
see how they work, right? All right, any questions of the architect? You're good.
No, that's all. I did want to bring up just for the planning end, but we really did emphasize getting cars off the street and the difficulty here, the hardship of that here. And it's a really it's a public benefit to get those cars off the street, kind of conforming to the C2.
Yeah, you got 4, now you got at least 4 off street parking where before you had none. So
Correct.
it's definitely a positive for sure.
That's what we try to do. Positive. Thank you.
No further questions of the professionals. At this time, I'll open this meeting to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to comment on this application? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Just a couple things that we gotta make sure that are in there.
This is strictly a C variance application as was represented. They are not seeking separate residential use of the boathouse. In fact, they agreed that there'll be no overnight stay in the boathouse. It would be confined to an open room, bathroom for the same function. And, they could have a refrigerator and stove.
Then, we just see what we can do about the stormwater
Yeah,
management.
and we'll defer that
You know,
to
yeah.
the board engineer.
So you can do the best you can, so, you know. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Second,
Mr. Shirley,
yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Catamick,
Yes.
Ms. Crock,
Yes.
Councilman Kusvich,
Yes.
Ms. Snow,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati,
Yes.
Chairman Ray.
You good?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this evening, really appreciate it.
You got it. Good luck. Okay, the next application is. The first new application is Isabella Olco, 205 Knox Way. There we go. See what this looks like.
Good evening, my name is Greg Consign. I haven't had the honor of presenting in front of this board. However, I am licensed for 5 years in the state of New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Florida.
As what, an attorney? As an
I'm
attorney, engineer?
the architect, I
Oh,
apologize, I'm
okay.
the architect.
Okay, that's what I just wanna
Let's
make
swear
sure.
you in.
They'll swear you in.
I graduated,
Hold on. Make sure you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I know,
And your name, sir?
Greg Consign, Hasha.
Okay. And you're a licensed architect, state of New Jersey,
Correct,
and your license is correct,
yes,
and you were involved in the preparation of these plans.
correct,
Have you testified before a land use board in the past?
yes.
Okay, you accept your credentials.
So sorry. Just a little bit of history about the project. We started the project last year, a little before summertime. And the original building that was there, single story. The state of the building was in disrepair. And the situation the client found themselves in is they found a house. They wanted to upgrade it as they wanted to move to a larger residence and wanted to do something with this house. The existing house was located on, it was 2 lots officially, which we asked, Bill, and he helped us with contacting the attorney and asking for a deed of consolidation, which was completed. And then we have for zoning and building approvals for the addition, garage, as well as a deck and the large driveway, which we were granted approval with the under the assumption that the partial house
Demolition.
would remain, a part of the house will remain. As the construction went on, we had the foundation, I'm sorry, if I'm rushing, please feel free to stop me.
Go right ahead.
As the construction went on, the foundations and footings were approved. As the framing started, all the exterior walls came down. And so we would like to ask for permission from the board to remain with the design that we've proposed and was previously approved. However, ask for a complete rebuild at this point, as the only existing portion of the original house is just the basement, the footings of that house.
So it's same size, same location, nothing.
Same size, same location, the same components, the 2-car garage, the deck in the rear, as well as the driveway. It is a non-conforming lot, it is undersized, as well as the retaining wall. There are existing retaining walls there, rock of sorts and boulders, I'm exaggerating, but as well as the side setback, which was the main concern as that wall went down, the exterior wall went down. is also, we would like for a variance as the existing condition was not conforming to the regulations. And
This is the driveway's new.
there's an existing driveway, but it was gravel and dirt.
Same location.
Yes, same location. It is getting extended about 2 feet to the right. Yes, the existing porch that's there in the front, that's also being rebuilt, as part of that original design. And I believe,
What if anything is different on footprint? What's proposed and what was there?
so the shaded areas, shaded portions, are the new portions of the project. And I guess I could have shaded it or cross hatched it, something else, but that's the original, dwelling.
You're using that original footprint for the new structure plus the addition.
Correct. You can kind of see it, and again, this is a one-story house. We are proposing that second story throughout above the garage, the two-car garage, as well as the existing house. The engineer also provides comments about stormwater drainage and stormwater control, which unfortunately she's not here today, but I do have some plans from her with that in case there are comments.
Connected to the sewer and water systems
Correct. City sewer,
and water.
water, and yeah. That's the stormwater drainage underneath the driveway, and showing the addition as well as the footprint for the deck. So again, there are currently foundations and footings already, the new foundations and footings in place at the property. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it.
So Bill, what happened here? They started on it, we just got.
Yeah, unfortunately, they found that the condition of the walls were just not good, and they took it down and didn't realize that.
So listen, they're putting it in the
But
same,
they had to come in anyway because, well, if they were proposing these conditions, they would have to come in regardless.
No, we were okay.
They were-
They
she
had-
was
they
good.
had
This
the
is
zoning
just a-
permit. They already had the zoning permit, and there was an existing, I'm gonna call it a 2-bedroom, it might have been a 3-bedroom, but an existing third national home there.
Okay, but I thought he said the foundation, oh, I guess the new foundation area complies with zoning then. There's no setback.
There's the
it's just that now it's
Expansion.
totally gone.
Yeah,
The building's got,
but the expansion that they proposed, if the old house
Yeah.
was there, would have complied. with-
Yes, yes, so,
Understood.
it's,
Okay.
you know,
Understood.
that's it. I mean, they've, you know, there's stuff you can't tell until you get in there, you know, so, and that's what it was.
Happens a lot.
So,
I was also informed, sorry, I'm jumping in, but I was also informed by the client that the contractor thought this was
normal.
normal,
Yeah, yeah.
and that we didn't have to go back for zoning, so I apologize for that, and hopefully, if you need any additional information or any drawings, we'll be more than happy to provide that to continue their home build.
I mean, my personal opinion on that stuff is, you know, same size location, you gotta leave a wall, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, if you're gonna put it in the same size, same location, get rid of that 50-year-old foundation, that's cinder blocks that are gonna crumble anyway, so if
Yeah.
you're putting it in the same exact spot, same size, it should be, you know, we should look at some of that again, you know, down the road.
For the
You know,
ordinance.
yes.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of
That gets to be
ridiculous trying to
tricky on
save
this-
one
Mr.
wall,
Haggard, it's the-
you know, I know Bill's a
statute.
stickler on
Yes,
that.
it was the statute. you know,
Yeah.
We can within the statute.
I agree.
The old 2x4 wall.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and we tear it down anyways later on.
All right, did you have any questions, Erica, on this one?
No, we're all good as long as they comply with our review letter.
Yeah, you got the letter from the,
Yeah,
and you'll comply with it,
here's
so,
the
okay.
report. She
All right.
specifically specified the letter in.
I don't have any questions, this applicant, does anybody have any?
Just to clarify, there's nothing left of the previous. There's no
Does the
percentage of
foundation,
previous
there
house.
is-
Just the existing house foundation, the sub, it's almost a basement, but it's a mechanical room.
So the only thing that I would say that we would probably want is an updated survey, and we can compare it to the old survey that the thing is, whatever it is off the side there, if it's 12.2, the new house has to be 12.2. You know, we can't, it has to be exactly where it was,
Of course.
the existing part.
Is that existing foundation?
No, these are old ones, so, you know, you gotta save part of the house to,
Yeah, but should.
I would, to me, you know, in my
There's a
opinion,
small
just get rid of it
portion
all
that
and just
actually-
start fresh.
Yeah, but is it good? Is it good or are you gonna replace it? Is what we're asking.
Yeah, that's all.
That portion's, it's, again, it's covering a portion of and it's on this wall, on this side where the, side setback is.
But I mean, is it the old cinder block where you just, you know it's gonna crumble? Cause if it is. you might-
Actually, so it's not, it's, as the footing goes, actually, at one point, I believe it's 26 inches wide. In the basement itself. As you are further up, it is, I believe it's a 12-inch thick foundation wall.
So it's like poured concrete.
Yeah, and they've done,
Yeah.
from what it looks like, but if you'd like us to explore that. we can-
It's stuff that, you know, they did something on the weekend, they dug out a little,
Yeah,
bit,
this
you know, like,
doesn't
it's,
seem like a.
yeah,
Just look at it as new construction.
yeah.
Just to, prove- yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, just make sure it's safe and, of course, hold what you put.
Yeah, you don't wanna put, you know, a couple $100,000 on top of junk, you know what I'm saying? Like, really, I mean, that's what
Right.
you're doing.
Right.
So. All right, I don't have any other
Are there
questions.
any landscaping proposed?
Just the grass.
I spoke to her about this also before the meeting started, just to reaffirm, just planting grass. As of right now, the budget doesn't allow for it. But if there are any future landscaping plans in mind, we will gladly show that and prepare that. But as of now.
All right, very good. All right, at this time, I'll open this application to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to come up and comment on this application? Seeing no one, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the board. Motion in a second.
Mr. Sherlock,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Kenrick,
Yes.
Ms. Crockett,
Yes.
Councilman Kukovich, Ms. Snow,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati,
Yes.
Chairman Ray.
Yes. All right, you're good to go.
Thank you.
Good luck.
How soon is it start to work?
As soon as we can. Contractors. Yeah, he's contractors waiting. He's ready to go.
I mean, I don't know how much you're gonna do now. It's the middle of the winter. I mean, you gotta do concrete footing, so you don't need a waiver. You can wait a month, right? So, this way he has to prepare the resolution and we have to approve it
They
and
have the footings on it.
The footings are poured in and inspected and passed.
the footings are already.
Yeah, the framing, that, where this stopped was at the framing process. He was
Okay.
beginning to-
All right.
You wanna ask for a waiver?
Would you like to ask for a waiver of memorialization? Okay. All right, motion in a second. Chief.
Mr. Sherlock,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Kenrick,
Yes.
Ms. Crockett,
Yes.
Councilman Kukovich,
Yes.
Ms. Snow,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati,
Yes.
Chairman Ray.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank
Good luck.
you. Mariam.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Yep. All right, next application. Where's my agenda? Where am I? Next application is Dimitri DeSimbler, block 50410, lot 2, 329 Squaw Trail. Yes, sir. Stepping down.
Yes, because he's neighbor.
Let's swear you.
Hello.
Please raise your right hand.
Here we
You swear
go.
the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Your full name, sir.
My name is Wabunila, I'm the designer of this.
Are you an architect?
No, I'm a designer.
He is designer. Okay. And-
Study architecture, I'm originally a license.
And spell your name, please.
JUAN. My last name is Onila, TONILLA. So the intention of our meeting today is just requesting for your permission to actually have a rear deck on our property. There's one, a single family home. Mr. Simler has a very small tiny house, which we submitted some drawings so we can provide you more or less what the house might look like. Basically, he just needs one of the doors to open up to a deck. We have, in front of the house, we have a little tree, which we're planning to maintain
for this matter, designing the deck based on this tree. The requirements are that we have to have a 50-foot setback on the rear because of the lake. We don't have that condition, unfortunately. I was just requesting your permission to allow us to do this. It's a very small house, like I said, it has 2 bedrooms. And it has a fantastic view of the lake, but without having a deck, there's no purpose of having this fantastic view. So we're requesting for the sole purpose of his convenience of a small house, tiny house like he has in there, to allow us to get this deck being built.
The plan that we have shows an addition.
That's not the plan, that's
That's not the
basically, that's the wrong document.
That's the wrong plan.
This is the one you're looking at, Bill? This is the one we're looking at, right, Derek? Yeah,
No,
that's not, that's the
That's
last
the
one,
last
Bill.
one, Bill.
Okay,
That's the
got
last
it.
episode.
No problem, just the
Yeah,
deck,
yeah.
Is this the property, sir?
just the deck.
This is the current one.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, that's it. If you want to see some of-
No, I mean,
They
I
have
get, we have it, we do have
He
it.
was just looking at the, he was
Yeah.
looking at the wrong one.
This one,
Okay.
we can read this one,
Yeah,
this
we
is okay.
submitted this document.
What's that?
2 properties.
Oh,
Well, they're not, they're separate properties, they're not the
Yeah,
same,
that-
so,
I think
yeah.
Mr. Mr. Diamond was starting, he probably saw the foundation there and wondering what's going on, I suspect.
so the deck, the whole deck is as wide as the house, right? You're not going, you're not
We're
going
not
to see
extending
the
it on
side,
the
right?
side,
Okay.
we're not exceeding the existing condition on the house at all, we're just trying to get more. And you can see the design itself, it shows you a tree which is existing, we want to maintain the tree for nature purposes of it.
It's a minimal deck, it's 10 by 1, you know, it's not like a, you're not going,
Once the step out and have coffee.
it needs a deck there, I mean, that would be my.
Yeah.
So you're, the variance you're seeking is that they're supposed to have 50, Bill, and they're gonna have 35, right, 34, 5?
34 foot 5 inches from the edge of the homestead, yeah.
It's pretty simple, I mean, that would any questions of the applicant?
Can I show you some of the pictures? So, sir, you were asking for review.
oh, thank you.
These are some of the pictures that we took.
Great, I
This is-
appreciate
This
it.
is the existing tree that we're talking about. This is the side view. That's the neighbors. That's one of the nicest neighbors which we in here. Another picture. You can pass it along. And then, as you can see, we're trying to maintain such a beautiful place without a deck.
Appreciate it.
It's impossible to.
Okay, does anybody have any questions of the applicant? Questions?
Yeah, I mean, we're planning on maintaining code, as are required, but we first we need to get this approval and obviously then we need to supply all details required.
Is that a rock face from the house down
It's
below?
basically
all
an
rock.
entire
It's all
rock
rock.
everywhere, so we're not disturbing anything, we're just anchoring.
Can you go back now?
the rock, right.
No.
Yeah, I mean, your disturbance is minimal, you're gonna put a couple footings on, you're gonna drill them into the rock ledge that's there, and that's the end of that. You're not gonna be back there with a machine, you're not gonna be disturbing, so.
It's funny you asked the question, but the shape of the deck itself is basically the rock underneath.
Yeah, you
So,
follow.
and then that follows up directly kind of.
You got a good footing under there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Won't go anywhere.
No.
That house will stay forever.
Okay, at this time, I'll open this application to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to comment? Step right up.
My name is Mike Darmstetter. I live at 4 Stony Point Road.
Please testify about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
And your name again, sir.
My name is Mike Darmstetter. I live at 4 Stony Point Road. I am his immediate neighbor. I'm in favor of this application. I have a deck that's too close to the lake. The neighbor on the other side has a deck that's too close to the lake. Dimitri's a good guy, he does good work. He goes above and beyond for his neighbors, and I want to say that I'm in favor of this application.
Sorry, your last name.
Darmstetter, D as in David, ARMSTATTER.
basically, right?
That's all I got.
Good, thank you.
That's good.
Anybody else from the public wish to comment? No? You
Sure,
know,
want to keep that straight.
You too.
You sure about that?
I'll bring it back to the board and, wait for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Mr. Sherla,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Catamaran,
Yes.
Ms. Croft,
Yes.
Ms. Snow,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Galati, Chairman Ray.
Yeah. Okay, you're good. Okay,
Thank you.
you have a good night, thank you. All right, at this point, the meeting is open to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to address the land use board? Step up.
Dimitri, you want your photos?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Judo. I live on 54 West River Street Road. I'm building a house over there, and I thought I had all my permits. I was building a retaining wall, a house, and I took out my deck, that my foot went right through it, rotted wood. And Bill told me that I need a permit. I didn't even know. I thought I had my permits. I have the same foundation. I just I want a new deck, and I didn't know that I needed a permit. So, but I'm using the same foundation. Go ahead. That's my wife, Nina.
Yeah, it was already there.
Yes, the deck was already there, and I'm building the same size.
Bill, maybe,
That was there.
maybe you could clarify this for us, what,
Sure, it's a case where, it's back to that same ordinance that we just were involved with the house that they ended up taking the walls down. This is over on West River Street Road. And it's a case where the deck is right down at the lake's edge.
okay,
And it basically runs from property line to property line. As a matter of fact, probably the reason it was brought to my attention was there was a concern that it might be encroaching on the neighbor's property. But ultimately, very basically, the deck was removed. There are some parts of the original underpinning, I'm told, the little piers or whatnot that are still there. They've been probably dressed up with traditional concrete or something, but some of the original piers were there. But we're replacing it. Their intent is the same size, same location. My concern was that with that change in that ordinance, it's not the same as a foundation and a couple of walls. It, you know, it's removed except for some of the piers, and I felt I needed to ask them to come to the board for the variances.
well, it's a deck, Bill, and, you know, they, obviously, when they took it apart and they looked underneath, it was a little bit more involved, so if they're replacing it, same
Well,
location,
we
same
took,
size.
we took a position like a dock, you know, if a dock has rotted boards, well, you know, you don't wanna do it over a period of years to
Yeah.
be cutesy kind of a thing, you wanna rebuild if the structure is still there, I suppose, and the support members are still there, and it's a matter of putting a
New deck on it.
then I think it's probably overkill, but we do wanna know that there's no encroachment, we don't wanna authorize if the old deck was across the property line or something like that, we wanna be careful that that's not going to be repeated.
Yeah, we can't say that you could build, you know, if your deck goes over your property line to your neighbors, we can't say that that's okay, I mean.
No, I respect that, and I told Bill, I said, if you want me to go 1 foot in, I'll do it, I don't care.
Yeah.
We'll even give it 1 foot to my neighbor, I even told him, one of my
Well, are you
neighbors.
making it smaller than it was?
If I have to,
Yeah.
I will. One of my neighbors, his shed is in my property, 2 feet, and I don't say nothing.
All right, well, if you make it a foot, you bring it in a foot on each side, and that way, are we sure that we're not over the thing then, Bill?
Yeah, if you're really
Yeah.
replacing the decking on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I think.
There a survey for the property?
Yeah, is there an encroachment issue or not?
Well, I've studied the two surveys. Meaning we are fortunate enough that we have relatively recent surveys on both of these properties. And Zudo's survey, I would say it's kissing the property line, but it's on the property.
Okay,
The other, Scavetti's survey, basically was indicating that, there might have been an encroachment. And, but I also used that survey and I used scale and the best that I could, bearing in mind, that, you know, truthfully, if I'm within a foot, and I mean, this is a close area, so probably I'm, a foot is exaggerating it, but I don't feel that I'm that accurate. I honestly don't. I'm trying to keep right angles and approximately a certain distance.
I
And this was
understand.
a
It's no
case
more
where,
than a
you
foot,
know,
Bill, would you say, at the maximum?
I wouldn't be a foot off. I don't think. No.
So if you're bringing in a foot on each side, are you,
That's no problem.
and you just redeck what's there and you just make it a little smaller,
Okay.
all right?
That's no problem. What's the address of the property?
This is 54.
It's the new house going up there,
West.
next to the boathouse, you know?
So I mean, if the board,
We don't wanna know.
It would be in your best interest to just make
I
sure
know,
you're on your
I know.
property, you know?
Okay.
And it would be treated as a redecking of
Yeah.
what was there.
You're just redecking your existing deck,
That's my understanding.
okay?
Yes.
All right, you good with that? We're good with that, I'm good with that. So, okay,
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody.
have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, what's that? Oh, we did, it. Okay. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
second.
It's shocking, Judy, that you.
What made me think of that?
After all these years.
Yeah.
Yeah.